Nivedita University. We are here today for the IKS lecture on Sacred Indian Geometry in Modern Design, Yantras, Mandalas, and Fibonacci in UI UX by Mr. Saurav Mukherjee, Assistant Professor of our Department of Fine Arts and Design. So before he joins us, I'll quickly give a small introduction about him. Saurav Mukherjee is a Kolkata-based new media artist, researcher and visual designer, an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, Jadavpur University, and Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies. Saurav has over a decade of experience working with pioneers of Indian media industry, including The Statesman, Anandabajar Putrika, Hindustan Times, Rupa Publications, UNESCO, and MHRD, Government of India. He has contributed to award-winning ad campaigns for brands like Tata, Cadbury's, ITC, GSK, Coca-Cola, etc. Participated in several art exhibitions and conducted multiple workshops on new media technologies in India and abroad. Saurav has also authored 2 books. His first book on the Indian animation industry was the first of its kind. Written on the anthropological history of Indian animation. The book was published by Vigyan Prasar, a unit of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and launched by the former Vice President of India, Sri Venkaiah Naidu, at Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. He has also edited 2 peer-reviewed volumes on multimedia communication design and published numerous book chapters and articles in national and international journals and magazines. His core areas of interest include design thinking, new media, technologies, and AR/VR. So very welcome, Saurav sir. And everybody, please pay your attention. We'll just listen to him now.
ঠিক আছে sir, should we start? Okay, good afternoon everybody. First of all, I'm really sorry to drag you in between your midterm and your presentations, but this is something that is the need of the hour, Indian knowledge system. We are the academicians, the industry, everybody is kind of talking about that. And when it comes to our responsibility, the Department of Fine Arts and Design, as part of the design process, let's kind of connect the Indian knowledge system with the modern age design, which is UI UX. So before actually starting, let me just tell you what it is not absolutely. It is not a beer bicep podcast, by the way, in any form. I am not gonna say any propaganda that our ancestors were so knowledgeable and learned or something like that. Rather, what it is kind of an argument. I'm trying to create an argument where let's see through this presentation whether we can connect our earlier knowledge system, the Indian knowledge system, with the modern age designs. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into it. Now, the first thing that I'll be talking about are the 2 major aspects of design, UI and UX. UI, as we all know, is user interface, the one that we see in your mobile, in your laptop, in your every digital device. What we see is the UI. And what we feel in terms of the scrolling, what we feel in terms of going one button to the other, that is the experience. So what we feel is the experience. Now, my key premise of argument will be whether we can connect our sacred geometry, which is Sri Yantra, the mandalas, in terms of the design principles in the context of UI and UX. So, yeah, on that note, the key premise for my argument will be 4-part. One is the Paravidya or Aparavidya. Second is the Vedic geometry. Third will be Shilpa Shastra. And fourth will be Sri Yantra. But for now, connecting UI UX, I'll be connecting only with the 2 points, Paravidya, Aparavidya, and Sri Yantra, which is part of Tantra as well. Now, coming to Paravidya and Aparavidya. In our Indian knowledge system, we say that anything that we can feel, we can understand, we can touch is Paravidya. So anything that is tactile, that is practical, or in terms of technology, the logic, the external reality to it, it's connected with Aparavidya or the empirical knowledge. Whereas in Paravidya, it is much more deeper, it is much more transcendental. When it comes to Aparavidya, we say that, okay, we have learned this, so this means that. But Paravidya is much more deeper. So with that knowledge, what we can do, that is the part of Paravidya. So similarly, if we can draw a trajectory, it will be the same. UI is something that we feel. Okay, so just asking you guys, we scroll so many hours in internet and in the short form content. We see n number of reels. We start with, let's say, a reel of food vlogging, and we ended up in WWE maybe. So that we do. And why do we do that? Because we just scroll one after the other, right? Yes? But if I ask you guys that after one video, you have to go to the corner button and press the next video, would you have wasted so much of time of your life? No, right? Duto video dekhe shesh kore dite. So that is the power of UX. The experience with the scroll, we get the experience. Okay, we can see one more. Let's see one more. So that is much more connected with Paravidya. Paravidya is something that you cannot see. That is the experience that we have. So in the fundamental context of UI UX, if we connect Paravidya and Aparavidya, we can say that when it comes to the interface, it is much more like Aparavidya or the tactile one. Whereas in terms of the experience or in terms of the transcendental feeling to it, it is much more like Paravidya. Now, coming to the logical thinking of it. Paravidya, in UI UX, we have user flows and information hierarchy. Whenever you see, let's say, we have so many fine art students here, design students, final years. So when we have learned about hierarchy, we have learned about a design flow. So Paravidya is just like the experience, as I said, and Aparavidya is the tactile feeling of it. Now, let's say when it comes to the external reality of a design, We have so many things like color psychology. Every brand has their own kind of a color. We have the typography, the layout, the aesthetic appeal to it. Those are all related with the Apuravidya or the tactile knowledge. Now, similarly, if we go to Paravidya, that is more of the deeper engagement or the immersive experience that we have. So, when we design for something, let's say we are designing an app, we are designing the interface, we are designing the wireframe, but what the user will feel with that design, whether the design is too cluttered, whether it is too easy. So we all have, at least my generation or the older generation have used Orkut. I don't know how many of you used. Anybody used Orkut? So in the back I have one person who has used Orkut. So Orkut was a company founded by Google. Like it has the funding of Google. But still when it comes to Facebook, everybody immediately shifted to Facebook from Orkut because of the interface. Because Orkut was too complicated to kind of see. Though we have written so many testimonials, we have given emoji, actually emoji started with that. But with the immediate use of Facebook, with the simpler layout, with the simpler functionality, we have shifted to Facebook. Now, again, the next part, if I ask you guys, how many of you are in Instagram? I think now I can see a lot more hands. Like, Instagram, tomra keu korni? Okay. So, why we use Instagram instead of Facebook? Because Instagram is much more simpler than Facebook. Right? So, similarly, it goes like that. After Instagram, we have now Snapchat. So, all these, when they kind of do the same thing. We upload photos, we share our thoughts, we share some songs, videos, funny memes. But in terms of the uses, Instagram is easier than Facebook. So that is the experience that you have with Instagram. And that's why you like it so much. So that is part of Paravidya. That inside feeling of it, the transcendental, that you cannot really express with words. Now, that is my key premise of argument. Now, here is a huge diagram. I will not go into this diagram in detail. Just to give you a hint of it, when it comes to the logical structuring or data-driven algorithm, we use Apuravidya because that is logic. That is one after the other, the wireframe, one after the other. What will happen with this button? What will happen with that click? But in Paravidya, we can connect with the intuitive, the organic nature of it, or the immersive storytelling. That is something that cannot be kind of considered with the design principles. That is something you feel. Every user kind of feel their own way. So that is Paravidya. And one more thing that I will be talking about is in terms of Apuravidya. So how many of you play games here? Ekjon, dujon, আর কেউ নেই একই? Okay, ঠিক আছে. So no, sir, not physical games. No, we are no more into that. We are into Call of Duties, we are into PUBGs. In game, if I just say one thing, that you will be not getting any rewards after the game is done. So let's say when we do a Call of Duty, when we kill a person, we get their weapon. We get their energy pack, we get their rations, or so many things. So that is the reward system that game kind of hooked us with. But whereas if we just say that you will play the game endlessly, but there is no reward, there is no chicken dinner after PUBG, so you will immediately stop using that. So that is exactly what is connected with Paravidya. We give a reward, we generate a point system. So that is a dopamine driven system. Paravidya is always beyond that. It is the mindful interaction. So if you haven't already, please go and download an app called Calm or Headspace. Those are something that is directly connected with the transcendental nature of an app. Okay, so after that, here we'll be talking about the Vedic approach of design. Now, this I initially had a major problem with. I thought that how to connect this with a logical system. So immediately I chucked Vastu Shastra. I didn't talk, I'll not be talking about that in this lecture, because there are areas which needs a lot of research, and how UX is connected with Vastu Shastra. But that can be an argument. I have kept it because of that. We can create an argument where we can connect the design layout or mapping of a structure with Vastu Shastra. Now, what I'll be talking about is the two things. One is Natya Shastra, and the other one, and my main or core focus will be on the Sulba Sutra. Now, Natya Shastra is something that we have evidence or proof of. And here we have something called the Rasa theory. We had a IKS lecture way back about Rasa theory, so I'll not go into Rasa. But what I'll go into, in terms of today's design, nobody, I repeat, nobody is bothered about the IQ factor or the intelligent factor of design. Rather, they are connected with the EQ factor, the emotional quotient. So the more the app is connecting you emotionally, the more we will be using that app. So immediately, so PUBG have done that. The moment they have banned PUBG, people went crazy. So because it has connected the youth on an emotional level. So that is directly can be taken a huge inspiration from the Rasa theory or Natya Shastra, where the emotions, every emotion has a outcome or has an app for it, if I can say so. Let's say if you are very angry, India and Australia match is happening and I am here wasting your time. So you can immediately go and tweet that stuck in a boring lecture by Saurabh Mukherjee in the midst of Indian and Australia match. So that is your emotional way out. So X or Twitter has given you that thing, or I'll say empowered you with that thing. And immediately, if you can post it right now, and you will immediately say, see, if you just with that add an hashtag India versus Australia, you will immediately see at least 4 or 5 students are retweeting that. And people will be commenting, same here bro, I am also stuck in a lecture. They will do that because you are connecting them on an emotional level. That is exactly the power of UX. Now, we can take a lot from Natya Shastra and put that on the UX mapping or a empathy mapping that we do in UI UX. Now coming to Shulva Sutra, what I'll be majorly discussing with, and thankfully I have this, now I have some logic or proof to say something in this context. Shulva Sutra is something that directly talks about the UI grid system, that directly talk about how in ancient India we have kind of for the yajna and for the spiritual rituals, how we have mapped areas and how we have measured in the areas of a geometry. So that is directly connected with UI. Now, yeah. So in Shulva Sutra, if we talk about, there are 4 major elements. One will be the kalpa, which is the Vedic rituals. Kalpa is something that is the foundation of yajna system. When it comes to kalpa, we used to have in every yagya, there are different home kunda. So the area where the fire is actually burning. But based on kalpa, we can understand how they have measured. And mind you, this is way before Pythagoras, this is way before the entire geometry system that is we see here today in modern Greek geometry system. Second is the Jyotisha. Jyotisha, though it is called astronomy, but it has nothing to do with the Jyotish that we see today. Jyotisha simply means the understanding or study of light. Thank you. Sorry guys, it simply means the study of light. Now, with how Jyotish kind of brings a lot of geometry or understanding of light or geometry in terms of design principles, that is what is connected with the modern UI UX. And also we have Shilpa Shastra, where we have seen the detailed geometries that we have done for our ancient temples and sculptures for their symmetry. So I know a lot of you have taken classes on foundation about symmetry, about balance. So Shilpa Shastra directly talks about those things. And lastly, the Sri Yantra, which is the core element of Tantra, where we'll see how these elements of Sri Vidya kind of directly aligned, the diagrams that is directly aligned with the UI UX mapping system. Now, primarily, if I talk about sacred geometry, one of the major three geometries that we see here are, one is the seed of life that defines creation. Now, we see that in so many scriptures, we see that in so many architectures, this design, where the circles are intertwining with each other. So this is seed of life. This defines creation. So when it comes to UI, we also use for a radial UI, for a circular design, we use this seed of life. Second is the flower of life, which defines progression, which defines the journey of being. Now, so this, I can say this is the birth. This, I can say, is the journey that we have in life. And lastly, Sri Yantra is the balance. So a lot many times, Sri Yantra has been used to understand the balance between masculine power and feminine power. A lot many times it has been defined as the power for positive and negative energy. So the understanding of this clearly defines how we balance in a design the positive space and the negative space, which is the major element of design. Now, coming to the Sri Yantra, we have, if we see the structure thoroughly, we'll see there is alignment, there is structured organization. Now, there is a power center to it. If we see in the Sri Yantra, there is power center where we define balance. Now, Sri Yantra, if we study that in modern Vastu or in a lot many ways we have differed from this, the whole understanding of geometry. But if I can talk about a premise, what happened with this? Sri Yantra defined goddess and gods. Now, if we remember in our religion, the religion comes from the above, from the top. The kings and the people who have wealth, they have spread that religion. So that's why the representation of God or goddesses are a lot to do with the sculpture or the murti. But when it comes to Sri Yantra, this is also defining the power of a god or a goddess. So this is much more flat and a geometrical representation because it has a major influence of Buddhist religion. So in Buddhist religion, the religion spread from the bottom, if I can say so. It started with let's say Buddha, who have left everything, and then it started with the monks, then it went to the king. So when it comes to the power, it flowed from the bottom. So that's why Sri Yantra is much more complex to understand how it has kind of portrayed a god and goddesses in a flat geometrical posture. Now, if we talk about the visual hierarchy, this UI we have seen a lot many times. It is called a radial UI. Now, can you see the similarities here? Sri Yantra also, the way to look at a Sri Yantra is always from the outside to the inside. Now, the similar way for a radial UI, we go from outside to the inside. And this is called the Bindu. The converging point is called Bindu, which is also defined as, in modern marketing word, that is a CTA or a call to action button. So, no matter what your design is, if you are making a poster for 50% off on certain garments or clothes, that 50% off should be highlighted in the area of design in a center. So that is your Bindu. Sri Yantra directly talks about that. That if we are designing something and the center of attraction is here, so anyway our eyes are converging to this point. Sri Yantra also, so that is something we can directly take a reference from. And also the part of visual hierarchy, where one design comes after the other and what will be the order of it. Now, coming to the second and the most important, I can see two first years here from design. I know how Tanmoy sir has kind of pressured them a lot in terms of balance and understanding balance and alignment. And still you guys are wrong. It's okay. But understanding balance, why it is key essential for a designer, is in every UI UX, it is based on a grid system or a layout. If the balance is wrong, your entire design, no matter how wonderful your color selection is, how wonderful your fonts are, if the design is off-centered or not balanced, it's not a good design. That is exactly something to do with Sri Yantra. The power goes on the center of the design. If in any way it is off-centered or if doesn't have the balance of it, in ancient scripture, your yagga is kind of unfruitful. You have done something vividly wrong. Now, we'll talk about golden ratio or Fibonacci series a bit later, and we'll understand that, and we'll not understand, we'll kind of create an argument that if we can connect the golden ratio or the Fibonacci series with this. But before that, we'll also talk about contrast and emphasis. Now, in this design, we can see this is way more, we are not being able to focus on the brand copy here, where we can see this is a good design. Now, why is that? It is because of the contrast and the emphasis. Sri Yantra is something that talks about that as well, where we, in the geometry, the way we are positioning the triangles, the circles, they are by default creating a balance, by default creating a contrast. Now, let's say the consistency or repetition part of it. I have taken the 6 or 5 icons from Google. If you see, without a blink of an eye, you will say these are Google icons. I didn't even have written them. So, Sri Yantra also creates that using the similar pattern or using the similar structure. We have created a visual pattern that talks about rhythm. Now, rhythm is the one of the core essential part of a design as well. If your fonts or typography or navigation doesn't have a rhythm to it, it is not a well balanced or a well designed layout. Yeah. Now, coming to the most important part of it, that is the user flow or the pathway. How we in UI UX, how we are going from one point to the other. By the default of the design of Sri Yantra, we have understood that from the very corner to the very center, we have to go in that direction. So every designer, every UI UX designer needs to understand that how we can seamlessly include these points in the design, where we can connect this. Now there are 4 elements to it, major elements. One is the components. Second is the creating the user diagrams, how we are creating this. So I'll not explain these diagrams, these are self-explanatory, but to understand, when we are creating a structure, we can see there is an epicenter of it. So that is exactly where we can map Sri Yantra with a UI UX design. Now, yeah. Secondly, as I said, that Sri Yantra has a major influence from the Buddhist religion and has a major influence from the minimalistic approach of the god and goddesses. So there is a Sri Yantra which defines Shakti. Now, in UI UX, the core understanding of UI is to create it as simple or as minimal as possible. So we can take a direct reference of typography and white space from that. Now, yeah, this is something I would like to talk about. So this is the only proof that I have that the ancient geometry kind of precedes the understanding of the Greeks. So Bodhayan and his fellow disciples, they have, with their Kalpa Shastra, they have given an understanding with the Rajju or the rope. They have created a measurement where they can measure the area of rectangles, which is directly kind of connected with the Pythagoras system, which has been proven way later. So a square plus b square is equal to c square. That whole formula has been given with this sutra. Now, if we say if I can read it out, the rope stretched along the length of the diagonal of a rectangle makes an area which the vertical and the horizontal sides make together. This is exactly what is there in Shulva Sutra, and which is a direct kind of a understanding from the Yajurveda. So in this only aspect, with proof, I can say that we are a bit ahead in terms of geometry from the Greeks, and that we can take an connotation from the modern age design. Now coming to the golden ratio. So we all have known that phi is the golden ratio and 1.6180 and so on is the ratio by which we can understand beauty. And this is there in your art history classes, I am sure. This is there in all the paintings, in all the geometries, everywhere. So if I say this 1.618033, this number, Sri Yantra has actually invented way back. This is not exactly like phi. They have came way closer. So their derivation or their point was 1.4, which is closer to pi. But still, with the understanding of the ratio between the length side and the breadth side, to create a symmetry that is there in Shulva Sutra. Now, Leonardo Fibonacci was a pioneer in this. That's why we call this system a Fibonacci system, where one number, if we add 0, then 1 and 2. So if we add the previous number, we'll go to the next number. So that is called a Fibonacci series. Now, you will be astonished, and I was also astonished when I found that they have came to the understanding with Pingalacharya. Pingalacharya didn't actually found the Fibonacci series, but he has an understanding that if we can create with one number after the other, we can create a sequence which might lead to a ratio which is visually appealing. So that can be, again I am saying, I can only create arguments here. We can create this argument that there is a chance of making the golden ratio was kind of planted by Pingalacharya. Now, So, I have talked about rhythm and visual harmony. I'll not go into there. But what I want to focus on is how nature has the basic understanding of this way prior. And that is what we have done in our Vedas. We have only studied nature and how they have influenced design. So if we see any temple, if we see any sculpture, we will find a direct influence from the nature. So this golden ratio is everywhere, from a simple snail shell to the hurricane and even to the galaxy. So they have somehow understood this connection and they have made this sequence which is almost closer to phi or the golden ratio. Now coming to the modern age, how we have taken this influence and made it our own, because as we all know, good art is steal. So that is something Spotify has done very proudly, and they have taken the whole understanding of mandala and used that in their Spotify rap design. If I can show you the designs, you can see Spotify rap, all the visual elements are closer to the understanding of mandala. Now, nowadays we say this is very psychedelic without understanding what is actually psychedelic. So the way the Tantra system was there, we have a direct visual connection which has been reused over and over again in apps like Spotify and so on. So even if we talk about the Vistara logo, they have plain and simple picked the Sri Yantra, the middle of Sri Yantra and the middle of, this is a Vastu layout. So they have simply taken the word Vistara, and Vistara means Vistar. So they have taken that and they have used it. So much for the creativity, by the way. Now, with these designs, we can understand how ancient designs have influenced us over and over again. We always say, sir, I want to do something new. So if I just say that there is nothing new bole to kichu hoy na. What we have to do is we have to take the inspiration from nature. We have to take the inspiration from our ancient scriptures or knowledges so that we can connect these dots and we can create something quote unquote new. Now, let's see this is a sketch, the app sketch, their first layout, and this is a circular Sri Yantra. You can clearly see that the flow, how they have used the switch flows, they are everywhere. So they have placed exactly in the same points of a Sri Yantra. And in the center, they have the main function. So this is called a radial UI, and it has a direct connection with a circular Sri Yantra. Now coming to the games, thankfully. So, again, Assassin's Creed, so much for the creativity. They have taken just an angular version of the Sri Yantra and they have implemented that in their logo. Now, without even understanding, this is one of the kalpas or the Gadura kalpa, which is also connected. They have kind of modified that into a dragon, but it is directly connected with the Gadura kalpa that is there in Shulva Sutra. So we can see even the attires. I'll take to the next one. How many of you have played Zelda? Akjon? I know you have played. So Zelda, if you see how they have used the whole layout pattern based on our sacred geometry. So all the motifs and elements and the UI has been hugely influenced with the understanding of the Indian knowledge system. Now, similarly, Diablo, anybody? Aditya, Kheloni, Khelbe tale. Diablo is something, if we see, again, the way a Sri Yantra has been placed. So all the boxes are the key elements of the character. So this is the central armor. These are all the powers and weapons of that character. So that is exactly has been told in Sri Yantra, that these are the visual components which represents one power after the other. And they have taken a direct kind of a reference or influence from that. Same study for Google Material Design. In Google Material Design, they have used symmetry, balance, and proportion exactly the way we have used in our ancient designs in the Sri Yantra and in terms of the Shulva Sutra. So I'll be talking about one principle before I go to the AIR BNB structure. Okay, where is that? I think I have skipped it. No, I have skipped it. Okay, anyway, I can talk about that. That is, let's say, before going to this, yeah. So there is a principle called chunking. So in chunking, what we say in UX, that if we have a chunk of a design or a chunk of a information, we need to kind of break those down into several areas so that there is a visual hierarchy and we go from point A to point B to point C. So let's say whenever we see a design in maybe a banner, we see the main tagline first, and then we go to the numbers, then we go to the call to action and all those things. So chunking is exactly, if I can draw a connection from the Sri Yantra, Chunking is exactly what they have done even theoretically. They have divided the power of Shri or Shakti into visual components like triangles and circles. So that is a direct reference which has been used by Google Material Design as well. So if we go to Google or Figma, you will understand how this chunking system has a direct connection with our Indian knowledge system. Now, then this is my last case study, I'll talk about this. So in AIR BNB, they have used UX symmetry. Now, if we say there are 4 parts of it: discover, define, develop, and deliver. So discover, you are first understanding the problem of a user. Then you are defining that, okay, these are your pain points, these are your empathy mapping. Last, you develop the system or develop a solution, and lastly, you deliver that. So this is, if I have the audacity of saying that, this is exactly how a power flow system in a Sri Yantra. They have, in the Yagga, we first call the god or goddess, then we kind of sthapana kara, then we kind of place that god and goddesses inside a system, and then we create the yagga or we start the yagga, and then we ask for the blessings. So this flow can be directly connected with what the UI UX flow of AIR BNB is here. And also chunking, as I said, how we can divide powers into multiple areas so that one power doesn't really cross another. That is what they have learned from, or they haven't maybe, that's the argument, from Sri Yantra. So let's, I think we are bored enough and we can conclude our session. So let's talk about what are the major areas where we can build an argument. So in terms of the Indian knowledge system, which is very ancient and which has kind of major deeper meaning of the being, the whole understanding of UI UX comes with the same thing, if I can have the guts to say that. In all Kathopanishad and in all the Vedas, the only one question that they have is, who am I? What is Atmas? So understanding that is UI UX. Understanding your user, who your user is, that is UI UX. The moment you have understood, okay, this is my user, you are done. Your design is good to go. If you can understand, and as communication designer bole, client lokhi tumi pecha, the same way, if you can understand the client, or if you can understand for whom you are making the design, it is done. So this question of who am I, that is deeply rooted in our Indian knowledge system. And that is exactly what we can derive from our ancestors, and we can take a note of that. And lastly, if we can study the modern case studies, if we can study the modern areas, we will be understanding that there is nothing new. It is all inspirations, and as we know, good artists steal. So we can steal the inspiration of our ancestors, and we are good to go as designers. But again, for that you need to pass the semesters and you need to do your assignments. So on that note, I thank everybody, and I conclude my presentation. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Saurabh sir. Now we have a little time for any questions if you have. And before we start with the questions, I'd say that quite an engaging lecture or presentation, and he has created an argument, but we'll look for the conclusion to the argument. If you have any questions, please tell us. Well, I think Tanmay sir has some question. Mike?
Hello. Hi. Saurabh sir, thank you very much for delivering such a beautiful lecture on Indian knowledge system. I just want to continue from where you have aimed actually. Today, the modern world is talking about sustainable design, right? Eco-friendly, biodegradability, save our earth. But while we're talking about Indian knowledge system, we are taught from through our ancestors that worship rivers, forest, land, even animals. So nowadays, the modern society is looking for the same thing. So I don't think we need any kind of proof that kind of knowledge our ancestors were acquired were so perfect. Okay, and as a what do you call? As a as an audience, people might feel कि how could someone relate tantras with modern UX UI? Such thing doesn't exist at that time. But while that that Indian culture, the core idea behind finding the Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, so they were trying to represent that core idea through different medium, maybe rituals, maybe some yantras, even tantras, doesn't matter. So tell me one thing, isn't it a kind of interface? The core thought, psychological thought, that inner truth, they are representing it in several ways. So we can say it's an interface, right? And while someone is experiencing that thing through several medium, they have different kind of experience. So I do think, personally believe, there is no doubt about it. And geometry, you gave us several examples, like modern companies like Google, where they are using ancient methods and techniques. Okay, the Fibonacci sequence, okay, it existed before he discovered the thing. You have already shown few examples. Even I used to show few examples to our students. So it was there. It was always there. Later we have discovered, isn't it? So it's completely fine. What I'm trying to say, in the field of geometry, there is a limit of development, like the golden ratio. Once it's developed, nobody can improve it till today. So the way they have developed, our ancestors used to work with geometry also. Maybe the designers, modern designers, they are not directly influenced from the thing, but that they are doing the same thing, same doodling, same exploration and getting the similar result. So we can say that they take inspiration, or they are highly, influenced by Indian thing. So personally, I don't have any kind of argument. I just want to add certain more views, perspective. These things can be true actually. Okay, actually, thank you very much, Saurabh sir.
Sir, absolutely. Actually, what I kind of thought it will be too long to bore all of you. So in the ancient Yagya system, there is, the center is Agni, and then we have Khiti, Optej, Morud, Bom. So all the components that creates us are on the 5 sides of the design. Now, that can be a direct inspiration from for our designs. Now we talk about fluidity. That is nothing but the water. We talk about a design sync or a movement, that is Bom or Hawa. So all these primary elements can be an inspiration for our students, can be an inspiration for all the designers. And talking about sustainability, we all have heard that story, Dodichir har theke bojro toiri hoyechilo. So that the whole understanding that we can flow a power from one center to the other, that is what sustainability is. So that is something, if we read, that the only thing that is missing from our students is they don't read. If they read the scriptures, even if they read anything, they will understand that it is already there. There is no better tale than Mahabharata. There is no better tale than Ramayana. Or we can understand so many things: the social, the political, the cultural, everything, every aspect of it. So let's try to kind of motivate them.
Sir, I just want to add one thing. They don't need to believe this ancient, old age ancient thought. Let's believe in modern science. Okay, as per quantum physics, most modern quantum physics, based on certain results of certain supercomputers, they are saying the same thing. What our ancestors already told us 1,000 years ago, the modern science, most modern science are discovering the same thing. Let them believe on that only, na? Doesn't matter. Truth remains same, sir.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, before we finish, I quickly want to...
I think ma'am has...
We have another question? Great.
Hello. Yes. I am from Department of Chemistry, and I have one question and one opinion. The question is regarding the yantra, what you have elaborately discussed. So my question is actually what is the reference of this design? মানে এই ডিজাইনটা কোথায় পাওয়া গেছে? Because your treatment regarding the yantra and the Fibonacci series is very different. Because Fibonacci, what Sari also told, that Fibonacci series is a discovery. It existed already in nature and people has discovered. Whoever discovered is not important. Fibonacci has discovered or our Indian scientist has discovered, that is not the matter. No one demands that nature has copied my series, not that. But regarding this yantra, it is a man-created design. So my question is where it was actually encrypted. And what explanation you have given, it is just your explanations. As you have related it from corporate house to the balance of the society, from everywhere, everything can be explained by this combination of triangles. And এই যে গুগলের বিভিন্ন স্ট্রাকচার, it is বলা যেতে পারে অনুপ্রাণিত ফ্রম দ্য যন্ত্র, এর কি কোনো রেফারেন্স আছে? বা ওই যে বিভিন্ন গেমের যে এগুলো মানে লোগোগুলো, দে আর ইনফ্লুয়েন্সড বাই দ্য যন্ত্র, এর কি কোনো রেফারেন্স আছে? অর ইট ইজ জাস্ট দ্য উই আর ক্রিয়েটিং দিস আর্গুমেন্ট? তো এইগুলো আমার প্রশ্ন।
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this, because I was going through this same dilemma that there is no such exact proof that we say in science, and you are from chemistry, ma'am. I fear you so much. The thing is, there is a scripture that I finally found. I have, like Meenakshi Di knows this thing. The moment sir has told me to give a lecture on this, it was my first thing that from where I can get some real evidence or an argument. So I came across the book of Shulba Sutra. Shulba Sutra is something that has this basic understanding of areas, how we can divide areas. So now there is a thing called Chiti, or there is a thing called Yagga Chiti, if I can say, that defines that you have to divide certain areas into the same square feet of the yantra that has. So now with that they have the whole point is that their measurement system, the Indian knowledge system, the measurement system was something they used to measure with Rajju. Now Rajju is again something that is very something that we can really argue on. So there is, in terms of proof, if you can say, Shulva Sutra is the one text that I can refer to all these things. And secondly, Assassin's Creed and the two games that I showed, they have on their portal, on their influence, they have said that we have taken this from mandalas. So now mandala and Sri Yantra is something that is directly connected. So those are the evidences, if you can say so, I have in my argument. But again, it's a premise of argument. There are still people working on these areas. Sulba Sutra can be a start point for that.
Yes, Sulva Sutra is that Vedic part which actually works with the measurement and is
Yes.
absolutely with the geometry.
Yes.
But as you have connected it with the society, with the balance in society and different mental and spiritual matters, does it really matter? Does it really relate? Or it is just your argument? That is my question. Sulva Sutra, I know.
Yeah,
that-
not
yeah.
ma'am, not only my argument, even Steve Jobs has said the same thing in his book, and there are people who have said that we have our inspirations from these texts, or we have inspirations from these designs. So that can be my connecting point, man. There is no foolproof argument that this is my argument. Again, I am saying this is my argument. This needs a lot of more research so that I can come to a conclusive point.
Yeah,
if I can
actually,
say
a
so.
lot of research is going on.
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
people,
yeah.
basically mathematicians,
Yeah.
one of whom came in our campus few days back, whose name is Partha Sharathi Mukhopadhyay. He is a mathematics
ma'am,
professor,
I
you
have
know.
seen, I've
He has a lot of work regarding this. But all is about the mathematics and its mathematical implications and the geometry. But as you have related all these things with other matters like society and the human properties, that is my question. Does it really relate to Yantra? That is my question. Not the Sulava Sutra. Yeah.
Ma'am,
I know.
again, in our brain there are two parts. One guy is for people like you who are very logical, who are very, and we are from humanities background, ma'am. What we do, the right brain people, is to create things. There is, we have our things in the very core of it, that apon moner madhuri mishaye. We have that in us. So we can create an argument. Again, that's the work of a social scientist. You talk about something that might evoke certain areas. Now you guys prove. We have raised the question. The way Jules Verne has raised the question, okay, this can be there. Now you prove.
Thank you so much. I think we have dragged enough, and I have a very small, quick question, Saurabh sir, because in the beginning only, the way you referred to Paravidya, it is basically referring to a higher spiritual knowledge. Do you really think that UI or UX is taking us towards spiritual knowledge or that kind of experience?
Ma'am, I can say, again, I can quote from Steve Jobs. আমরা একটা প্রোডাক্ট তখনই ভালোবাসি যখন সেই প্রোডাক্টটা যা যা দেয় তার বাইরে যদি কিছু দিতে পারে। If it can connect us on a spiritual level, that we can vouch for it. আপনি অ্যাপল ইউজ করেন, আপনি জানেন যে we have this ecosystem with us that we cannot really go beyond that. That is because of certain nuances. খুব সিম্পল, এটা করতে সুবিধা হয়, ওটা করতে সুবিধা হয়, বাট এগেন ওগুলো তো সব ফোনই দিচ্ছে। Why Apple? It is that transcendental thing. It is that Paravidya.
Okay, I think because you just noted that it is not, according to me, it can be because of compulsions. It can be because of the way we become compulsive looking at things. Yeah. So, well, we have created a good argument and we can take it forward with our own effort. For now, I would like to call Meenakshi Sengupta for giving the final vote of thanks.
First of all, thank you, Shora, for bringing such a wonderful argument, and I think we'll take it forward. I just want to mention that, a few days back, I was attending another seminar, and that was about Indian knowledge system. It was delivered by Parul Dave Mukherjee in Shantiniketan. So he was also, talking, speaking about mimesis at large, but, how we can connect that to the very current happenings. So I think, yeah, as ma'am also mentioned that it is still, lots of researches are going on, and let's see where we can go. And so with that, thank you everybody for coming here. And officially, I want to thank to our Chancellor, Honorable Chancellor, Sri Shottam Chaudhary, our Vice Chancellor, Sri Shanku Bose, our Registrar Sir, Sri Shumon Chatterjee, our Dean, Professor Meenal Parekh, our HOD, Professor Sanjay Sengupta, and whoever is present today, our delegates, our colleagues, our students, our people at backstage who are helping us with the sound system, camera. We would like to thank the whole School of Media Communication, Fine Arts, Design and Performing Arts for this arrangement. I would also like to thank Professor Anona Dalal for her effort. So thank you, Shaurav. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you.